Hey, it's good to see you. It is Wednesday. I am in a much better mood today. I had a good day. It is Wednesday. Yes, for a second there I thought it was Thursday. No, it's still Wednesday. I hope you have had a great day. I had a good day today. I got a lot done. I had to work this morning and I called the dentist office to check on that bill that they said they couldn't get in touch with my insurance company about. But they were a little too quick to say, oh, that's all taken care of. You don't have to worry about it. That's all been dealt with. Because I'm sitting here like, well, first of all, it took you over a year to tell me there was a problem. And you waited so long that the accumulated amount of money owed to you was over $1,100. And now you're just like, yeah, just disregard all that. Just, it's fine. It's all fine. I just have a feeling they're going to come back to me in 6 months and go, actually, it's not fine. You owe us $27 million. So if you could just pay that, that'd be great. That's what I'm expecting. Like, that was too easy. Because I called the insurance company and I got again, they're saying, tell them to fax the stuff to us. Like, why are y'all taking claims through a damn fax machine? Is that common? I don't know. It's 2022, is it not? Why are you still expecting dentist's office to fax this stuff to you? Do you not have any other means of electronic transmission? Why are you asking them to fax stuff? I don't know. I don't know. But the dentist's office, according to the lady at the dentist's office, she said, oh, it's all fine. We took care of that. Yeah, don't worry about it. We got everything submitted. Everything's fine. I bet it's not fine. I bet it's not. I will find out in like July that everything is not fine. Anyway, but at least for now, I'm just going to forget about it and say, well, I'm just going to assume it's fine. They said it's fine. I reckon it's fine. And see, tomorrow I'm taking a little trip somewhere, and I thought it would be fun on the way if I told you about my days of working at Eckerd Drugs. I worked in a drugstore called Eckerd. It was based out of Clearwater, Florida, and they were all over the place back in the 80s and 90s, and I worked there in the 90s. Almost pretty much throughout that entire decade, I worked at Eckerd's off and on, mainly while I was, well, actually completely while I was in college. And I thought I would tell you about my days of working at Eckerd and the people I had to work with and the things that we experienced and everything. It might be kind of a long ramble though, because once I start talking about my days at Eckerd's, it goes and goes because for some reason I just retained all of this useless information about my time working there. I don't know why I remember everything about it, but it's not like it was a memorable job or anything, but it was very educational. Working in retail was very educational. Of course, I had done it before. I worked in this little mom and pop grocery store when I was in high school, and that was my first dealings with a drunk person. There was this guy, and I'm 16 years old, working on a Sunday morning. Well, actually, it was about lunchtime because they didn't open until 12. So it's about lunchtime, and this very drunk man came in, and I remember he smelled like, this has nothing to do with what I was going to talk about. Why do I do this? My parents, we grew a lot of the food that we ate. We would grow it and can it. We had peach trees, we had apple trees, pear trees, we had a pecan tree, a cherry tree. We had 4 different kinds of grapes growing on this big long thing. We had a giant garden every year. And sometimes there was this one particular type of grape, I don't remember what it was. My parents liked to make wine out of these grapes, and they weren't really drinkers. I mean, you never saw beer or anything in the house. They would put the stuff in like these pickle jars, and stick them. We had a well house because we lived out in the middle of nowhere, so we had well water, and we had a well house, and they would put the jars of the grape pulls and everything in the well house and just let them age in there or whatever you do. I don't know. Um, and I remember when they would dump out the hulls, the grape hulls, they had a very distinct smell. They were fermented. And I remember one time we always had chickens too, and we would take one time they let my brother and me take all those fermented grape hulls and dump them in the chicken lot. Like we put them over the fence for the chickens, and the chickens ate those fermented gray poles. They were drunk off their asses. It was so funny. If you've never seen drunk chickens, it is hilarious. They were fine. They didn't get hurt, but they were stumbling around, and then they all just kind of passed out wherever they were. It looked like some kind of frat party in some alternate universe somewhere, like a chicken frat house. I don't know. Like chickens go to college. I don't know. And they keep people in pens, and they were just drunk, and it was hilarious watching them stumble around and fall over, and like they'd be standing up, and then they just kind of start swaying, and then they just fall down, and their legs are going like this. They're trying to get up. Oh my God. But so anyway, this was on a Sunday around noon. It was right after we opened, and this man came in, and he smelled like those fermented gray poles, and that was my first thought. I thought, gosh, he smells just like those gray poles. And I knew he had been drinking, because you could tell. I mean, he was drunk, and he was in there wanting to buy some beer. Well, that store didn't sell beer on Sundays. Actually, I don't think it was allowed. I think at that time you couldn't buy beer on Sundays, at least in where I lived. It might have just been a county-wide thing. I don't know. You can buy beer there now on Sundays, but I think you have to wait till after noon to do it. Anyway, so he came in, and he was very belligerent because he wanted to buy some beer. And I had to tell him, sir, I'm sorry, it's Sunday. We don't sell alcohol. And he yelled at me, and I could just smell his breath, and it was just, ugh. It was just, ugh, bad. That was my first experience with a drunk person, and I had to learn to deal with angry customers, and they take it out on you. They've had a bad day. They come in the store, they yell at you for stuff it's not your fault. And I learned a lot, so I thought it would be fun to tell you about my days working at Eckerd's. Now, Eckerd's, after I stopped working there, I think they were bought out by Rite Aid, and then Rite Aid got gobbled up by CVS. Like everything now is CVS. You got CVS and you got Walgreens, and they just gobbled up all the little pharmacies, and it's a shame. It's just a shame. We still do have some independently owned pharmacies in Greensboro that I'm aware of. There are some they haven't gotten to yet, and I hope they don't, because you need that. I think it's good to have independently owned pharmacies. I don't like them. I don't like monopolies like that. I think that's bad news. You end up, it's never good to have that, in my opinion. You don't need one or two companies running everything. It's happened in some industries, and it's not good. But anyway, so I thought tomorrow, when I take my trip, whenever I can get out of here in the morning, I have to do a little bit of work first thing in the morning, and then I'm going to go. But I wanted to tell you tonight about my first experience on what I call a real airplane. Now, it's not because I'm from the South, and I told this story when I went up to Illinois, and everybody was kind of like, oh, it's a shame that you guys don't get to experience, air travel. I said, no, it's not that. It's not that we don't know what them flying things in the sky do. We don't know what them newfangled things are. It's not that. It's just that for all of my life, up until, well, basically still, all of my life, I've never really been in a position I've never had a need or an ability to get on a plane and go anywhere. Like either I had no time or no money or no inclination to get on a plane and go anywhere. So I didn't. When I was growing up, we took a lot of road trips because my dad he loves road trips. He still does. He's 81, and it's nothing to him to hop in the car and go to Florida to go see his brother just because he felt like it. I mean, he does that all the time. He's still kicking. He's something. But so we took a lot of road trips all over the country, all the way down to all the way down to Mexico. We stayed down in that area for a while. I got to walk across the Rio Grande to go into Nuevo Laredo or something. I can't remember now, but I got to walk across the bridge. That was cool, and get to go on over in there. This would have been in the mid-'80s. And it was a really neat experience. We took a road trip up to Canada. That was cool. Got to go to Montreal. That was really neat. Except a lot of people there were kind of rude. No offense, but pretty much everybody we dealt with was a bit of an asshole. But it was beautiful up there. I really enjoyed it. And I had been taking French for 2 or 3 years in high school at that point, so it was really cool to go to a French-speaking area. That was neat. So anyway, we took a lot of trips. We didn't fly anywhere. I mean, we couldn't have afforded it anyway. I mean, we didn't have any money. We were just, I guess you'd say we were upper lower class. I mean, we didn't have any money. So We did go to Disney World twice, but we did it on the cheap. And this was back in the 80s, and you could actually go to Disney World, and it wasn't that expensive to go. You could do it cheap. Now we stayed in cheap places, and we didn't spend a lot of money on anything that we didn't have to. Um, we did go to Disney World twice because my dad loves the Epcot Center. He loves that. Anyway, but we didn't fly anywhere. We never flew anywhere for any reason. So I had never been on what I consider to be like a real plane. Now, when I was about 8, my dad had this friend who had this little plane, like a Cessna or something, just a little, a little 4-seater plane of some sort. And he had a lot of property, he had a lot of land, and he had so much land that when he got his plane, he cleared out enough area to make him like a runway, this huge runway for his plane to take off and land from. And he loved to take people up in his plane. That was one of his favorite things in the world, any excuse to take anybody up in the plane. Well, he offered to take me up, and I'm all about it. Like, yes, I'd never been in a plane before. I was about 8. Well, I was excited. So we got in there. It was my dad, his friend, and me. I don't think my brother was there. I don't know where my brother was. Anyway, my dad and I would just take these adventures. We'd just get on his motorcycle and just go. And we ended up at this guy's house. And, hey, Mary, you want to go up in the plane? Yes. Whoa. So we get in the plane, and, you have to taxi, and, it takes a while. And then finally, the hamster runs in the wheel enough that it can take off. Because basically it's, popsicle sticks and rubber bands is about all it is. And so we flew around, and it was great. Like, ooh, I can see my house from here. It was great. I loved it. But flying in a Cessna, it wasn't even a Cessna, like a Cub Cadet or something. It was like this big. It was like that comedian said, it was a pack of gum with wings, basically. The little tiny thing. Anyway, so that was when I was 8. Now, I didn't have any experiences with planes after that. And I think that's true for a lot of people. I mean, no matter where you are, I think a lot of people just, I don't have any reason, or I have no reason to get on a plane. Now, I have been on planes since then. I have not a whole lot, but I've done a little, not a lot, just a little bit of actual, getting on planes and stuff. So the reaction was somewhat muted, but it was still there. Okay, so fast forward from when I'm 8. So when I was 8, that would have been about 1981 or so. Okay, so we go on up to 1999, and my brother is getting married, and he was in the church that I wrote the book about, and this was my first in-person experience with that church up there. But so he was getting married up. They were living about 60 miles north of Chicago, but we were going to fly into O'Hare. We flew out of I can't remember where we flew out of. I believe it might have been Charlotte. We were trying to find the place that had the cheapest, round trip tickets, because at that time I was working as a social worker. I was not making tons of money. I didn't have, I'm paying off student loan debt, and, I'm like, I don't have a lot of money. So we found the cheapest tickets. It was back when you had to like call and talk to somebody to get airplane tickets, And it was also pre 9/11, so you could actually just walk right onto the plane, which today would be surreal, but you just, get on, whatever. Go sit wherever, we don't care. No, I don't remember if they cared, but I remember I had a window seat. So it was a 747, big old plane. Now, again, I'm not like Country Comes to Town. I'm not like Gomer Pyle going, golly, I'm like, cool. So we find our seats and we sit down, and it's my mom and me, and we're flying up to Chicago. And we were going to rent a car when we got there, and then drive on up the 60 miles to where they were. Cool. So we get in the plane, and we get seated, and I'm right by the window, and I'm looking out, and my mom's getting all situated, digging in her purse for chapstick or something. I don't know. And so she's sitting beside me, and there's someone, so I'm at the window, she's in the middle, and there's somebody beside her. I'm sitting there, and then the plane starts to move. And I guess you had to be there. You probably had to be there. Okay. So the plane starts to move. And it's, like, the hell, is that normal? And my mom is just paying no mind. She's I don't know, she was like reading something, probably what was ever in the pocket behind on the seat in front of her, probably reading a vomit bag. Like, Mary, shut up. She was always telling me to be quiet. Like, I talk too much. And we start moving. And I look out the window and I'm trying to look up ahead of us. Like, I couldn't really see, but then there was kind of like a little bit of a curve. And I'm looking, and I got about halfway through the sentence that was going to come out of my mouth. And I'm thinking back to the only other experience I ever had on a plane, which was, 20 years prior, basically, roughly. And I said, we don't have enough runway. And I was going to say, we don't have enough runway to take off. We don't have enough runway to, and then the thrusters or whatever the hell kicked in, and it just mashed me back against the seat. And I was like, I sat there for what felt like 5 years just going, I couldn't breathe, I couldn't speak. It's just the sheer force of the plane just rocketing forward. And my mom looks over at me like, what is wrong with you? She's just completely nonplussed. She's like, what is wrong with you? And I'm just over here like, and the perfect song that epitomizes the way that moment felt was Red Hot Chili Peppers' Love Roller Coaster. The very beginning of that song is exactly what that felt like. Oh shit, yeah, because all of a sudden I got my voice back and I was going, oh shit, and the plane starts to go up and I'm like, and my mom is over here, she's embarrassed. She's like, Mary, shut up. Will you shut up? You're embarrassing me. Because everybody else on the plane's like reading a newspaper, yawning. And I'm like, this is amazing. Wow. I think I experienced some things on a level that a lot of people don't, because I'm over here just like, I am freaking out at how cool it was that we're just, whoosh, we just launched into the sky, and it was great. It was awesome. And I was already thinking, man, I look forward to the trip back because I get to do this again. I kind of hated that we were going straight to O'Hare. It's like, shit, man, if we could land somewhere, we get to take off again. That was awesome. It was awesome. Oh my God. It was great. It was great. And I loved it. I have to say it was my favorite part of the whole trip. Don't tell my brother that, but I mean, like the wedding and everything. The best part was the takeoff of that plane, because it was unlike anything I had ever experienced in my life. It blew the little Cessna away. Like, that was cool, but that takeoff was fabulous. It was fabulous. And I have experienced it since then. But that takeoff was especially strong. I don't know what it was. It was great. It was great. And I tell you, it's just little stuff like that. I've started trying to make a list of things about being alive that I really especially savor. And that moment is definitely on that list. Just little things about life that are just the coolest things ever. And when I'm dead, I'm going to miss it. I don't know what happens when we die, but I'm going to miss stuff like that. Little stuff like that. Hitting every green light, the smell of a baby's head, and, just little things that it's kind of hard to put some of them into words, but I will never forget the way I felt that moment when that thing took off. And I was just pressed back against the seat. And then when we started going up, like you're tilted back like this, and it's just like, I felt like I was on a space shuttle. It was incredible. I mean, I loved it. It was fabulous. And I just had to share that with you. Now, maybe you had to be there. Now, my mother was completely annoyed with me. She kept telling me to shut up. Will you shut up? Everybody's looking at you. I didn't care. I was like, oh, shit. She's just like, will you calm down? She has no memory of that. I asked her about it later. She had no memory of that. I'm like, that's a shame, because I sure do remember it, and it was great. So, yeah. Anyway, that was my first experience on a real plane, and it was great. I actually did not get on another plane after that. We flew back home. But then after that, I didn't get on another plane I didn't get on another plane for 19 years, because it was 2018 when I flew again, and we flew out of Charlotte, my kids and me. We flew out of Charlotte to Orlando. And it was on a really small, like a commuter plane or something. And I remember it was very stormy when we took off. The weather was bad, and the plane was like rocking and dropping, and like they had the damn seatbelt sign on the whole way. Like that was a scary flight. It felt like the damn plane was going to shake apart. That one was not exhilarating. That flight was terrifying. Like, we gonna die. You know that we gonna die. And we were in the very back of the plane, and I thought, well, maybe we'll be safe back here next to the tail. I don't know. I don't know. And my kids are like, will you calm down? Like, you're just as bad as my mom. I mean, I'm trying not to freak out for them, but I'm sitting there like, this plane sounds like it's about to be pulled apart. Do you hear metal scraping? Because I do. Do you hear it? And they're going, Mom, it's fine. My older son is just always so chill. He's like, Mom, it's fine. It's no big deal. It's just the wind. Planes are built to withstand this stuff. It's okay. Thank you. I know that, but I'm a little scared. And we had bad weather all the way down there. It was rough. The flight back was great. It was very nice. It was another little commuter plane. But it was nice. And that's it, really. See, because we were supposed to go to Scotland, and I still want to go, but with COVID and all the crazy, it changes every day, the restrictions, and oh, you have to do this, I don't know that we'll ever get to go. I mean, I hope we do. But that may be the next time I get on a plane. I still want to go to Las Vegas. Going to Vegas is on my bucket list of things I want to do. And I want to zip line down the strip in Vegas. I want to do that. I want to go play some real blackjack. I want to go play some slot machines. I've never done that. I want to do it. I'm not talking about like blowing a lot of money, like take $300 and when I'm broke I leave. That would be more than enough. And I want to see Vegas. I've never seen it. I want to go see it. So that's on my list of maybe I'll fly there. I might do that. But for now, I don't have any plans to fly anywhere. The best I'm gonna do for a vacation this year is going to the beach for a week. But you know what? That's good enough for me. I get to stay at the Pelican Motel. That was another bucket list thing, was to stay at the Pelican Motel at Cherry Grove Beach, and I will be doing that this summer, and I'm very excited about that. I always wanted to stay there. I'm finally going to get to. So yeah, tomorrow I will tell you about my experiences at Eckerd's, and for now, I need to go get ready for bed and get some sleep. So I hope that wherever you are, that you had a wonderful day. And I hope you enjoyed my silly little story about airplanes. And I will see you again tomorrow.